sure, Dad, fuck you. Doesn't change the current situation. Yeah, but it is very indicative of who he is. Not only that action, but all of his followers and how they are so abusive and personal and aggressive.
Yeah, they take after him.
Yeah, which is like that story you were telling me.
Yeah, so there was that shooting in Quebec, shot up a mosque.
Right.
And
a while back.
And killed, I want to say 6 people, but I don't have it in front of me, so I'm just going to say an amount of people that's more than 0. So the person turned out to be this, I'm going to say, racist white guy, who was, big MAGA guy, very, obviously anti-immigrants, and, just all the things that one might imagine a guy in a MAGA hat shooting up a mosque would believe in.
Sure, yeah.
And in court, they released his social media follows, like who he engages with the most, and it's, a lot of alt-right figures. Richard Spencer was in there. On the very top was Ben Shapiro, the most engaging. He checked his feed the most, retweeted him the most,
right.
Was the biggest fan of him, and like everyone else on the list was like a Richard Spencer type or like a Stefan Molyneux. Who,
right.
They're not like all the same people with the same ideas, but they've got similar ideas.
Sure.
And they sort of like run the same pack of thoughts. Richard Spencer, I think I talked about this on an old show. Like Richard Spencer can say that like Africa is better off because of slavery, and someone's like, well, can you honestly say that like if we didn't intervene there and like take slaves, that they wouldn't be better off? And he's like, yeah, of course. And he can say that, and then Ben Shapiro says that same sentiment in a different way. So they all have this sort of Ayn Randian view of
vile bullshit,
of, like race and people. But anyway, so like whatever. So this guy was a big fan of Ben's, and that's not to say that like it's Ben's fault and like he is to blame for this awful thing that happened. But it's worth noting who follows you.
Yes.
And who gravitates towards your message. Who are the type of people that agree with you and hang on your every word. And it's not just this one kid. It's not just this one guy who did this unconscionable thing. It's many of his followers. If you look at the replies, there's some quote reasonable people who are just like, well, the fact is this and this and this and this. But then there's some like awful racists who are follow him for the same reason. And again, like this isn't saying like we should blame Ben for doing this or for saying this.
But you have to be able to pinpoint and look at it honestly. Like this is just a fact.
Right. There's an element of like introspection that it should warrant for somebody. I mean, if you have a public platform and you have a huge audience, and if you quote tweet a person and then thousands of people attack that person, then you have some semblance of responsibility for the things that you say.
You sent the dogs on them or whatever. Like you told them to attack essentially.
And he's not, and he knows this.
Yes,
and
he does.
Everyone knows that that is true if you have an enormous platform. And he can argue that it doesn't matter, but he can't argue that he doesn't know.
Right.
You can say, oh, I didn't tell them to harass her. Well, but you know who these people are, and you know what they do. You know that if you quote tweet a person, specifically a woman, then they will get hounded by some really awful vitriolic people. And just that is true. And maybe it's a good time to reflect on the things that you say based off of who gravitates towards those things and how they act to other people.
Exactly.
I don't think he will.
No,
I think he might say, oh, well, if that's true, then Bernie Sanders is responsible for the Congress baseball shooting. Well, that's also not the same thing, Ben. And I think you know that there's a difference between Bernie Sanders saying that like we should all have health care and Republicans are trying to make it so we don't all have health care, and you saying that like Arabs love to bomb people and live in sewage, which is literally a tweet. The majority of Muslims in America are radicalized Muslims.
It's irresponsible.
It's irresponsible, and you are a person who constantly talks about like taking responsibility for your actions, but you also should probably take responsibility for your words and for your audience.
Yeah. But for me, I'm like, okay, I want to be better than that. I'm going to be aware of how I'm responding to people, the power of my words. That's a takeaway for me from this. Also, takeaway is I'm grateful for our followers who aren't like this.
Right, and like, I mean, there's, obviously the discourse on Twitter is difficult, and sometimes involves aggressive language and stuff. And I'm trying to be better about like being just snarky.
You're very good about it.
I'm trying. Thank you. I'm trying to because like this kid DM'd me after I responded to one of Ben Shapiro's tweets, and he said, "You're a fucking loser. Enjoy the next 4 years, asshole." Followed by, "You are such a pathetic guy. You aren't intelligent enough for discourse. That's why I won't even think of debate then. Put up or shut up." So like I could have responded in a myriad of funny ways, but I was like, "Hey Nick, I regularly point out times when Ben's comments are weak, or when he just lies or gets his facts wrong. Ben doesn't respond to me. I don't know what you mean by I'm not willing to debate him. I'm trying. And also, like, this is a separate conversation, but a live debate is not the only way to debate. And we put this whole idea of like, I challenge you to a live debate. Oh, you don't want to. I win. That needs to be put to rest. That's not how any of this works.
I do agree with that. Although, Ben, if you want to have a debate.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Cody would do it. I wouldn't.
And so I was like, yeah, I do this, and he doesn't respond. Also, like, you aren't intelligent enough for discourse. dude, you led with "you're a fucking loser, enjoy the next 4 years, asshole." Also, it's 2018. That's not how long terms are.
Right.
In 2018, you can't say "enjoy the next 4 years" because that's not how long
2 years
terms are. And so on and so forth. And I just sort of explained, like, hey, what did you mean by this? Did you really mean this thing? When you say, hey, you're a 40K bum, you have 309 followers. So what do you mean by that? Does like the number of followers grant some sort of inherent and immediate value to my ideas?
Plenty of people with more followers than you, Ben Shapiro included, are idiots.
So like I sent him this long thing, and then he's like, oh, hey, thanks for the response. I'm sorry I was rude.
Oh, that's interesting.
And he's like, I just think that it's not fair to call him racist. And I was like, okay, well, he has a history of saying things like this and this and this. And I was like, I'd love to share an article with you if you're willing to read it. And he's like, yeah, okay, send it to me. So I sent an article about it. So like that's an example.
That's actually a really good story.
Yeah,
that surprised me.
Oh, you thought it was going to take a turn?
Yeah, I thought it was going to take a turn.
A different turn, yeah.
A turn for the better.
Yeah, and I think that's an example of like, okay, well, people can be rude, and then you respond somewhat reasonably.
That's a lesson for us all. Thank you for giving a little moral positive end to this.
Yeah, that's
we can be better online.
The period to this sentence is a plus sign.
That seems like a good way to transition.
Yeah.
Moment of transition. Let's talk about Lion James Comey.
Oh, Lion James Comey.
Good old Lion James Comey.
What a time to really come back into the spotlight and give this interview that we all needed.
And say very little.
Way to go.
Way to go, bro.
Bro.
I hated that interview. I hated it. And I think that I was being, in all fairness, I was being extra, like I was definitely looking for things to be mad about because I don't like James Comey very much. But it seemed like a waste of all of our time. He didn't say anything except that he thinks that he's morally unfit to be the president.
Whoa.
Morally unfit.
Wait. Who is morally unfit?
Donald Trump.
He's what?
Morally unfit.
To be what?
President.
Of what?
The United States.
Which is a
country.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should continue this podcast. I need to like lay down and take a couple of naps.
To process all of that information.
Apparently Donald Trump is morally unfit to be president.
Yeah, go figure.
So, right.
After billing it as something that was going to be this huge bombshell of an interview with lots of revelations, there were no revelations, and it also was maddening how little responsibility he takes for himself. He doesn't regret anything. There's one point where he said he felt queasy to think about
He did, man.
He did, man. The funniest, he was like, you have to remember, at the time, a lot of people thought that I'd elected him president. Yeah, you fuck, we still do. You know, we currently think that.
During all the times.
And like, you know, when he was asked, do you regret not saying more to the president? We asked for his loyalty. He says maybe. I don't know. You know, like he doesn't express any remorse, and that's very frustrating. What are you doing here?
Yeah, right. Because also he had a year.
Yeah, and
and that's, I mean, obviously he's doing this now because of his book. He wants to sell his book. So maybe his higher loyalty is to money. You know, everyone. That's whatever you got to do. Go get yours. Money makes the world go round in the saddest way possible. Like you had a year to really think about this and really process it. And you say like some people thought I helped get him elected. Everyone thinks that.
Yeah.
And so like when he's asked these questions in this interview, like part of him is like, well, like have you seriously not thought about this yet? You wrote a whole book about it, man.
And you knew that these were going to be the questions asked.
Right.
Too.
Right. Also, like, yeah, you're being interviewed by Bill Clinton's former communications director.
Right.
And like senior advisor for several years.
Yeah.
Which also, like, come on.
Yeah, sure.
Somebody else. Like, somebody else. It doesn't have to be Sean Hannity, but maybe not the senior advisor to Bill Clinton. Like,
I am interested in seeing his Rachel Maddow interview. I love Rachel Maddow. I know you are frustrated with her sometimes. And I get that. I get it too. But I'm always impressed by her. You know, this whole Lion James Comey, you know, the GOP, I don't know if you've seen this, or maybe it's the RNC, have created a website called Lion James Comey, which is so embarrassing that they are just adopting his terminology, just going all in. But, you know, I didn't think he was a liar up until I heard him say that he thought the president had above average intelligence. Because I don't know, that's a big fucking lie. And he also said that he asked for his loyalty in between the salad and the shrimp scampi, and you know that the president doesn't eat salad. So right there are two big holes in his story.
You just blew this wide open.
I just blew it wide open, y'all.
Nice try, former director of the FBI, James Comey.
Go buy his book.
Go buy his book. Help him achieve his higher loyalty. Yeah, it was a little frustrating to watch. One thing I did notice was these because there are these moments where like, I don't know, do you regret it? I don't know. Was it a mistake? I don't know. Maybe. Like, I don't know when I thought about it. So there's a lot of those moments, but at least a couple of times when he was asked a question about whether he made a mistake, and he would end up talking around it.
Yeah.
But every time he was asked that, he would shift his weight and uncross his legs and recross them.
That's such a fascinating thing that you picked up on. You've discovered his tell.
You gotta tell. He's not the straight-laced, straight-faced, straight shooter that we all thought that he was.
We should play poker with James Comey.
Yeah. Good cards. How your legs doing, Jimmy? Yeah, I mean that's like whatever. You know, I'm not gonna read too much into it, but he did get he did get physically uncomfortable when he was asked if he made a mistake.
Yeah.
So I think he knows and doesn't want to admit it. Although he does admit to some like vague sense of like cowardice in moments and like certain mistakes he has made. But like there's some stuff that he didn't own up to that maybe he could have.
Yeah, I agree with you completely.
I agree with you completely. Oh, do you want to talk about the P tape pretty quickly?
Yeah. What about it?
I just think it's funny.
Oh, I thought it was so funny. I thought it was so funny how many times he said prostitutes urinating on the bed or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what the exact phrasing was, but he kept saying, well, it's a shocking thing to have to say that prostitutes.
Well, I don't know if it's not true. Yeah, I think he's also very uncomfortable with that aspect of it. Like he's a good old boy. He just doesn't like talking about that stuff.
No, it makes him uncomfortable.
Yeah, sort of like puritanical. Can't do it.
I mean, and isn't I mean, that fucking tape exists. It is out there. That is for real. I don't know if we'll ever see it, but I believe in its existence.
I believe we will see it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we choose to. We like every individual will have the opportunity to see it.
If they so desire.
If they so desire. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty real, right?
I will say that my actual least favorite part of the interview is when he says, I hope he doesn't get impeached because this is who the American people voted for. And like, you know, this is what we get, essentially. What? Are you out of your mind? There was foreign intervention in our election. He colluded with the government. Also, no, we'll come back to that in a second. What do you mean you don't hope he gets impeached? We have that process as an option to protect in these situations.
Yeah.
The other thing that really bothered me was his inability to own up to the fact that it was a mistake to announce that they were reopening the Hillary Clinton email case 11 days before the election, and that he never, ever disclosed that they were investigating Trump and the Trump campaign for colluding with Russia.
They were investigating his
people regardless.
But yes.
Regardless. That's
right.
But they didn't say that they were actually, I mean, they just said that they were reopening the Clinton case. They weren't saying that they were looking at Huma Abedin's things. Yeah. They said it was her. So regardless, it's a ridiculous double standard that he was
he still
here.
Can't seem to own up to that. And there's this, well, you know, and aside from the fact that like all former like directors of the FBI and just like everybody's like, yeah, you should have, you picked and you chose.
This is a universal consensus.
You picked and you chose. But he also says like, well, you know, with the Trump case, like we didn't, you know, I didn't want to reveal that also because, you know, we didn't know we had anything.
Right.
We didn't know we had anything. And this moment in the interview was maybe a minute after he talked about how when he got the emails from Huma's laptop that like he didn't know they had anything.
Right.
Like he literally said like, yeah, we didn't know if there were new emails or not. We didn't know what we had. And then a minute later he's like, well, we didn't want to reveal the
exactly.
Trump investigation because we know we had. Okay, man. So like, what did you write this down in your book and then read your book? Because maybe you noticed it then.
Yeah.
Whatever. Thanks for the interview, James. I'm not
Big fat waste of my time. And now for a word from our sponsor.
Today's Even More News presenting sponsor is George Soros.
George Soros?
The app.
The app.
Do you have any sort of left-leaning ideas?
I do.
Do you want people to have health care?
I sure do.
Do you want maybe a single-payer system?
Oh boy, I do.
Where like we tax the grotesquely wealthy and maybe roll back some of our military efforts abroad and then use that money to keep people healthy and alive and educated?
Sounds good to me.
Well, you should download this app, the George Soros app. And if you put in promo code whatever, then you will get money.
Money?
Money.
From George Soros?
Mm-hmm. If you sort of have these ideas and you want to express them online, say that you did that, he'll give you money. If you see that there's a protest outside and it sort of lines up with these ideas and you go and you join that protest,
I'll get money?
Put it in the app, you'll get the money. If you really say anything at all that isn't supportive of any of these kinds of ideas, tell the app, you get the money.
I'm going to be rich, baby!
Yes, I already am rich, thanks to the George Soros app, brought to you by, I don't know, the truth. Download it now, promo code whatever.
And we're back.
And we're back.
Ugh, yeah, here we are again. Thanks for the commercial. We need our sponsors. That's how we stay afloat here. What else should we talk about? Do you have stuff that's burning on your mind?
I've got things burning on my mind, but it's mostly joining the show that I'm going to write tonight.
Yeah?
But
give us a little preview?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about Sean Hannity, I think.
Oh, boy.
Because he's just a joy.
Yeah, and he's having a week.
Having a life. He's having a week, and it's not going to do anything. Because we're actually run by liars, and most people are liars.
What do you mean it's not going to do anything?
Like he's like this information that he's been defending. Yeah. So he's been defending the president's personal lawyer for weeks, and didn't disclose that he was also his own lawyer. And then he says like, oh well, he's not really my lawyer. I just like asked him advice
on real estate.
I believe the exact quote was almost exclusively real estate. Hey Sean, what's the almost about?
Right.
You keep and like he said it in his tweets. He said it on his show. Whenever he talks about it, he says almost exclusively real estate. What is the almost, Sean? Why do you keep saying almost?
That's the part we're concerned about.
God. And so like he did this, and he disclosed that like maybe a journalist would. And not to say that like again like we just talked about Stephanopoulos being Clinton's cabinet.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that's like a direct conflict of interest, but it's worth
a concern.
It's worth noting beforehand. And there are cases like that all over the place because of just how the world is and the media operates. It's not great, but just tell us that he's your lawyer, man.
Who was on the show last night? Alan Dershowitz. I can never pronounce it. And he even said that to him. He was like, you should have disclosed this.
Right, of all people, Alan Dershowitz. Like,
I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. That's our new section. Come on, man. That's this week's Come On Man at Sean Hannity.
Yeah. To wrap up this Come On Man segment, it's just like, because also, he just keeps tweeting like, what about, he's not my personal lawyer, I just asked him for advice, do you not understand? Maybe the part where in front of a federal judge he said you were his client.
Yeah, and it's weird.
But we should believe your tweet from the line
you are the third of 3 clients that this man represents.
Has claimed to have in front of a federal judge.
And the cases that he was handling for the other 2 involved illegal payments for affairs and cover-ups And I'm sorry, but that just doesn't look good for you.
Doesn't
His
look
other
good for
specialty
you.
is real estate, though.
It doesn't look good for
It
you.
doesn't look
Yeah,
good, man.
It doesn't look good for you.
And you have to understand that people see that. So if you don't have anything to hide, be a little bit more forthcoming in general.
But like, yeah, but you know, Fox just released a statement like, yeah, we stand by him and so on. Of course, he gets great ratings. He's like the highest paid. He's like 36 million a year, something like that.
Gross.
Disgusting. And he's got a direct line to the president, direct line from the president. They're buddies. The president used to call him all the time after his show and talk about him. There's obviously influence there,
Yeah.
and he's obviously every single day talking about Hillary Clinton because he knows that his buddy's watching and his buddy's the president.
Yeah.
So nothing's gonna happen. He's a liar, and I'm gonna probably get into this in the show.
Yeah, you've got a lot to say that we're not getting into here.
Yeah, I don't think. I know everyone's like, oh, God, kick Hannity off the air. He's got no ethics. He's a bad journalist. And those are all true.
Sure.
But no, make him stay on the air. He is so like cut his salary. Maybe he should be making $36 million a year. But like he's so much fun to watch. In these trying times, he's a dumb man. And I'm not gonna get into that because who has the time. But like you know, I think he's like a dumb person. I don't think he's a smart man. And he's a liar. He lies a lot.
Sure.
And he's just desperate to defend the president. And again, the president, I don't know if you know, is not a very smart man.
No.
I'm sorry.
But he's the president.
No, I'm sorry. Anyone can do it.
I had heard that.
You should tell your children.
I will tell my children.
Anyone.
And the percentage of women who are running for office.
Actually, my 4-year-old daughter, did you know that in 2014, okay, so the president's a dumb man, and he's also a liar, and he's involved in crimes.
Like Sean Hannity.
Possibly Sean Hannity. Who knows?
Well, the first
who knows?
two, for sure.
Who knows if Sean Hannity is involved in crimes? His lawyer, who his lawyer is might be indicative of that, but like we don't know that. So he's just not a smart man. But if you watch his show, it can be frustrating because he's obviously like trying to divert attention away from all these stories about the president and trying to talk about like the Uranium One deal, which he completely misunderstands every time he mentions it. Things like that. And he's like, oh, what about the Clinton crime family? You know, Donna Brazile, she gave a question to Hillary for debate. Well, that's not a crime.
Right.
That's unethical, and she got punished for it.
Right.
And that's not good. But also, like in a presidential debate, you know, like the 6 things you're going to be asked.
Right. The general topics that are going to be covered.
But like when you say like the Clinton crime family, and you mention giving a debate question, that's not a crime, Sean.
Right. And you yourself, Sean, happen to be a part of a crime family.
Right. And so it's very entertaining to watch personally. And I've talked about this before a little bit, but like if let's say impeachment is on the table and it happens, and James Comey, his plan for the American people to vote him out instead of impeach him is on the table. So let's say he's being impeached. That is going to be the best television we have ever seen in our lives. And I'm not only talking about like Don Jr. I want to see testify on camera in front of a bunch of very talented, smart lawyers.
Oh, that'd be so
That's going to be
satisfying.
just, oh my God, that like the chef is going to kiss his fingers to the bone.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be amazing. So there's that element of like the world's dumbest crime family is on trial.
Ooh.
Because also like if you look historically at the president's depositions in cases he's been involved in, he doesn't remember anything when he's under oath, despite having, I believe it's the greatest memory of all time, one of the great memories of all time. So he doesn't remember stuff, and that's gonna be fun to watch. And hopefully when he says I don't recall, someone will be like, but you said you have the best memory of all time. Also in one of his depositions, someone mentioned, oh, you said in the past you have one of the best memories, and he's like, I don't remember saying that. Amazing, incredible. So that's gonna be fun to watch. But if you tune into Fox News, you'll see Sean Hannity, a dumb liar, just sweating, trying his hardest, his very, very best to make this seem okay.
Yep.
It's gonna be so fun to watch. He's gonna like be flopping around on his belly, gasping for air.
Oh, yeah.
Because he needs to be in the water, but he can't because all these criminals are on trial.
God, next season of this show is going to be so lit.
So yeah, I don't want to obviously diminish the awful things that.
Yeah, I mean, I think
administration's
Sean
doing.
Hannity is one of the worst things about America.
Yeah, he's a detriment to our society. He's bad. I think he's bad for us.
I think so, yeah.
So I sort of go back and forth on this. I think he's bad and should go, but also he's the liar, dumb president on trial, and then the one guy who is like
His one defender.
He's charged with defending him.
Yeah.
He has to every night on TV, and that's gonna be just good TV.
Yeah, unless he bails on that sinking ship when it's too obvious.
Well,
we'll see. Well, we're almost done, but I wanted to do a real quick #WeToo update.
Me too.
Just a little one. I think this falls under the WeToo. Last week, I'm not sure if you guys saw, there was a Hollywood Reporter article about Charlie Rose, and it was called Charlie Rose's Life Now Broken, Brilliant, and Lonely. I guess the right way to say that would be Charlie Rose's life now, broken, brilliant, and lonely. And then like the slug line refers to the devastating allegations against him. And I found that really infuriating. And then some people were interacting saying like, what's wrong with that? What's the problem with that headline? It's just saying that it had an effect on him. But no, it is saying that it had an effect, but it's sympathetic. It's poetic. It's painting him as this lonely old man. Calling the allegations devastating is diminishing to the women. There's all these reports. It's like preying on our sympathies. Like
Right,
he
weren't
can't.
the incidents devastating to those women?
Yeah, is that what you mean? Because that's not the way that this is written. And it says that his housekeeper, he can't leave the house, so his housekeeper has to go and get him food and bring it back.
Okay, he can leave the house.
I mean, yeah.
Charlie Rose, you can leave the house, man. Do you think people are gonna on the street be like, "That's Charlie Rose"?
Yeah.
I'm gonna harass him.
Right.
And maybe that's true. Maybe that does happen.
Maybe you're embarrassed. Good, I'm glad. But
Who ran that article?
It was a Hollywood Reporter, so you know, we're getting journalism here.
Sure.
But they do have some
They
good
do good
journalists
stuff,
there, actually. So this was a little surprising and disappointing.
Well, it's sort of how they tend to not they Hollywood Reporter, but like how the media tends to portray like school shooters or like domestic terrorists.
Right.
Like, oh, you know, he was bullied, or like yeah, he's just a quiet kept to himself, and yeah, it's the whole sort of way of painting these people as victims, which, you know, one could argue that they're victims of society.
Sure.
And that has led them to their choices, but they're also their choices, and their choices were abhorrent.
Yes.
So maybe writing like fawning reports like that
Aren't
aren't appropriate when any person of color is shot by the police is painted as a thug who, and like they don't literally say in these articles that like, oh, they deserved it, but that's the tone. Like in this one, the tone is like, oh, poor Charlie Rose, and in these other ones, the tone is like, well, you know, they were no angel, you know, they you know, they ran, they asked for it. Did they ask to get?
Yeah. I think it's irresponsible reporting, and I think that we've all talked about this, and we'll continue to discuss it because it's important. But we need to learn how to be better, and that's what this time can bring. You know, that's like the highlight of the takeaway from this that we can take moving forward.
Yeah. I have one more thing actually I want to talk about.
Oh, good.
Just really quick.
quick.
The police shooting made me think of this. I'm a fan of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes.
I think it's a really good show.
Yes.
It's very funny, very diverse. They have a bi character on there now. It's very like, and even a lot of times when someone brings up like when someone says something scuzzy, Jake Peralta will respond like, oh, well, that's transphobic
That's
and
gross,
stuff.
yeah.
Stuff like that. Or like when they talk about addiction, they talk about how like, you know, addiction's a real problem, and like if you weren't a murderer, I wouldn't be so flippant, stuff like that. They try their best to paint, while painting literally all of the cops as like great people. They do try to sort of point to like certain problems in the justice system. Even though, like, I mean, they could be a little more. They probably don't want to get political. I understand that. Anyway, something I noticed that I think that they should actually maybe address. There are so many moments. And I think I know why this happened. There's so many moments in that show where they pull out their guns all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
I just watched an episode where like they were going after some guy for fraud. It was like just a fraud case, and Peralta immediately pulls out his gun and like points it in the door and goes in, and like, it's just like. I don't like how flippantly they just have people pulling out their guns, and whether or not that's like what cops do, like. That's like you're making art, you're influencing culture. So like, don't beam into our brains that like this is just what cops do. They just always pull out their guns.
This is going along with what we were talking about a few weeks ago when we talked about guns. There's a responsibility in Hollywood to portray guns more accurately, not to desensitize us to them, to be more responsible. So
and like if you're after a fraud case, pull out your gun before you go in the apartment, and then you point it at him, and then he runs out the window, and you like chase after him with your gun. Like, are you gonna shoot the guy?
Right.
Like, why?
You aren't.
You aren't. Does he have a gun? No, he's running.
There's no need for that. Put it away and run.
And there are a lot of moments. I think part is probably just like, oh yeah, like it looks cool, and I got my gun. I got this prop gun. I'm gonna do that. And it would it'd just be neat if that was downplayed a little bit or diminished a little bit.
So if you're listening, Brooklyn Nine-Nine writers, we love your show a lot. Both of us do, but there is a little room for improvement in that area.
Yeah, if you're gonna make a show about police at this day and age, I mean, obviously you're taking responsibility for a lot of things. But,
yep.
You know,
Good job on that.
Good job on that.
Small note. Not small note. Big note.
Big note. But
could be a worse note.
Could be a worse note.
All right. Thanks you guys for listening to us chat about things we care about.
Thanks so much, everybody.
And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel because we'll have a new episode of some more news for you this weekend on Sunday.
That's true. And then check out the Patreon as well.
All that stuff. Share this. Give us a like. I guess it's not likes on iTunes. It's a subscribe. Give us a rating and a comment.
And rate.
You know,
comment.
And
help those algorithms.
Help those algorithms, and we'll give you all our love.
Love you.
Love you.